Alright boys, so today we're going to be going over the best pitchers in Diamond Dynasty. There's been a lot of new pitchers that came out. That brand new Lefty Grove. There's been that other card, the Justin Verlander, who got buffed and is actually a lot better now. There's Jake Arrieta, who's kind of glitchy, and honestly I really like that card. And since there's a bunch of new pitchers in the game, I wanted to update my list a little bit and let you guys know who the absolute best pitchers in MLB The Show 20 are. Before we get into this video, if you guys hit that like and sub button, I'd really appreciate it. And let's get right into the freaking video. Alright boys, so our first honorable mention is actually going to be a card that I just sold and one of the cards I just talked about. It's actually going to be Lefty Grove. Now Lefty Grove, he is honestly not that bad of a pitcher. He's got outliers, a left-handed arm. I think he's pretty dang good. The only thing that holds this card back compared to other cards is just the control really isn't there. And that forked ball and changeup, they aren't two different pitches. They literally look exactly the same. His slider is his R1, so it's very inaccurate and it hangs an absolute ton. And I hate to say it, but if you just throw hard in this game, you're not that good. Especially some of these cards. We see this with like Bob Feller and other cards like that. It just doesn't really do the job. But I did want to give him an honorable mention because he is not that bad. And the one time I did pitch him, he kind of shoved. 13 innings, 3.3 ERA. I just don't think this guy is a top of the line pitcher, so that's why he didn't make the list. The next guy is actually going to be Forrest Whitley. Now I really wanted to put Forrest Whitley on this list. I couldn't do it. I really like this card, and I feel like I kind of have a little bit of a personal bias with this dude. He's 26 and 17 for me. He's pitched absolutely great. I know the ERA is a little bit higher, but the reason that I think that is because of all the event games that I throw with him. So he's pitching on All-Star, but whenever this guy is dealing on Hall of Fame, for some reason I just pitch amazing with this card. So he made my rotation. He's a really good card. At the number, in our last honorable mention, is actually going to be a card who's a little bit of a budget beast, and it's going to be a finest card. It's going to be Lamet. Now, I like Lamet. I think that he's a good pitcher. The only thing about Lamet that kind of gets him a little bit weird is I don't like that he has a 4-seam and 2-seam. I wish he kind of had a cutter. I feel like the 2-seam, it's not like some of the one guy's 2-seamers. Like Verlander's 2-seam, I legitimately think acts like a sinker, but for some reason, Lamet's just kind of hangs a little bit, and I don't really like it, so that's why he didn't quite make the top 10 list. Definitely a budget beast. Definitely deserves to be in some of your budget rotations. He's a great guy to be your 5th starter. He just quite didn't make the list. Now, as we get to our 10 spot, we're going to start doing the best cards of Diamond Dynasty, and I had to put this card in here since he's just been the GOAT since day one, and we're going to go with Klub the Lube. I mean, Kluber, the thing about Kluber is, yes, he's kind of choked for me, but the thing is that I can't not put him in the list. 480 innings on my squad, 87 and 46. This guy was disgusting. He made sinker cutter as good as it was. And beginning of the year, Kluber was absolutely amazing. So, Corey Kluber, you're at the 10 spot today. I don't necessarily recommend putting him in there because everybody has seen him just so much. But sometimes this guy, he still shoves, so he makes the 10 spot. At the number 9 spot today, we actually have Yu Darvish. Now, Yu Darvish, I did put him higher in my last video, but the more that I pitch with him, the more I haven't liked him. The reason that I haven't really liked him as much is I just feel like he has nothing that goes down. If this card, instead of a 4-seamer, had a changeup, I think it would be a lot better, or a splitter or something. But Yu Darvish, he just doesn't have anything that goes straight down. So people are sitting in and out, and the only thing that can beat them down is the curveball. And I feel like it's so slow that it doesn't really even affect people, that they can just adjust to that easily. So that's why he's at the 9 spot. He hasn't been doing too good for me with a 5.5 ERA. Yu Darvish definitely needs to pick it up. At the number 8 spot today, we got Greg Maddux. Now, Greg Maddux, great card. I really wanted to put him higher in the list. This guy's been so good for me. He's 22 and 10. And the thing is he's just different than literally every other pitcher. The reason I say this is because he throws below the speed limit. With sinker cutter guys like Oral Hershiser's throwing a 97-mile-an-hour sinker. But Greg Maddux is throwing a 92-mile-an-hour sinker, and that might be like, oh, that's slow, that's not good. But his pitch differentials are so much slower, and then whenever I bring in a reliever like Hader or Goose Gossage, it just makes Greg Maddux look that much better because they are so late on everything. So I really like this card. I think he's a great card. At the number 7 spot today, we actually have someone that I don't use in my rotation, and I'm a little bit biased against him, but I definitely think he deserved to be on it. It's Clayton Kershaw. Clayton Kershaw, I think he is a good pitcher. I think he's the best left-handed pitcher in the game. I think that's just by far, I think he is. The only reason I don't like Kershaw is because everybody saw him last year, and for some reason, I don't know if it's because it's in-game, late year, stuff like that, but Kershaw just doesn't get it done. He didn't get it done for me. He was 3-5 on my team, and I said, see ya, I don't want you again, 7.5 ERA. I didn't use him, but he's definitely the best left-handed arm in the game, in my opinion. I think Clayton Kershaw is a really good arm. He just quite didn't make it because I don't pitch good with him. Sometimes people shove against me with that card, so I'm not going to absolutely just bias and throw him off the list. At the number 6 spot today, we have my favorite baseball player, and it's none other than Justin Verlander. Now, I bought this guy for 1 million stubs, and I'm not going to lie, he wasn't that good. He just genuinely wasn't that good, and the thing about this card is, yes, he's pretty cool. He throws really hard. It's just, he doesn't quite do it. 2-1, 6.7 ERA. Although he throws hard, he doesn't really have the great secondary pitches. His 12-6 curve is his secondary pitch. His slider is his 4th pitch, which makes it seem very, very slow, and it kind of just hangs a little bit. He doesn't have the greatest control, and honestly, it hurts this card. Definitely not as good as the Verlander last year. I'm kind of mad that he doesn't have outlier. He was throwing 102 that year. I know they buffed it, but still, come on, guys. At the number 5 spot today, we have a guy that I really like. I just haven't been using him lately because he's kind of been getting rocked. Still think he's an amazing card, and that's going to be Oral Hershiser. Oral Hershiser is a great card. I have the Prestige version. He's 42-24. So, the guy's done really good on my squad. He's won me ball games. He's thrown over 200 innings. And this guy, he throws really hard for a sinker cutter guy. He's very accurate. That's what makes him so good. And his cutter's his secondary, so he has just as much control over that as he does his sinker. I like this card a lot. I like the way his changeup plays. Honestly, his slider has pretty decent control for being a 5th pitch. And Oral Hershiser just has everything you're going to need in a pitcher. I'm a sinker cutter guy, so that's why I think he's one of the best in the game. At the number 4 spot today, we have none other than Jake Arrieta. Now, I thought about putting him a little bit higher, but this guy's shoved for me so far. I know it says he's 2-2, but he is 2-0 in ranked seasons games. He's lost 2 event games, so I'm not too worried about it. This guy's pitch mix is just really, really good, and I really like this card. I think that he's got a really good pitch mix. I think he's got good differentials. I think that he controls all of his pitches pretty well. The slider honestly plays like a cutter that moves more, so I like it a lot. I think Jake Arrieta is definitely a great card. I know he's a little bit spendy. I know he's going for about 400K, but I do think he's one of the better arms, and you guys should pick him up in your rotation. At the number 3 spot today, I am a big fan of bullpens. I love bullpens. I think that Rich Gossage has just been that guy for me this year. 43 innings, 4.8 ERA, 10 saves. I know the stats aren't just absolutely jumping out on you, but this card is really, really good. He hasn't blown too many saves for me. He's kind of been a lock. He throws gas. His sinker's disgusting, and that slurve is just unreal. So Rich Gossage definitely deserved to make this list. He's going to be the 3 spot today. Now we're getting to the top 2. You guys are probably guessing who it is, but these guys are just nuts, and they're nuts in different ways. You have to be able to pitch them pretty well, and honestly, I think that I pitch these cards very good, and you can't rely on these guys' fastballs. That's what makes them bad, so if you're like, this card isn't very good, you're probably not pitching them right. At the number 2 spot today, we got my boy, Trevor frickin' Bauer. He is 15-9 on my team. He is disgusting. The thing that makes this card so incredibly good is just the fact that his 4-seamer is 97 and his cutter's 88. Now, I've said it on stream. I've said it a ton. There is no pitch in this video game like Trevor Bauer's cutter. That makes him unique. That makes him different. That makes him very hard to hit. There's a lot of cards that you don't see nowadays, and it's like you're seeing the same pitcher, same pitches. But that cutter, I know everyone has a cutter, but nobody has a differential from a 4-seamer to 97 to a cutter that's 86. It's just unreal. This card, not only on top of that, but he controls very good. I love his pitch mix. I think it's very great. The only thing that I would kind of maybe switch a little bit was if they could give him a changeup. I don't know what I would have them take out, but I think that would be really cool. Trevor Bauer, definitely an absolutely amazing card, and he's just been so good for me. At the number 1 spot today, you guys probably guessed it, but it's none other than Jacob deGrom. Now, the reason why I like this card, not Not only does he have an outlier fastball and a 94-mile-an-hour slider, but this guy can dot. He hits every single spot. His pitch mix is the best in the game, and I spam his slider like 60% of the time, and I'm still waiting for someone to hit that pitch. It's unreal how good he is. The dude's just so good for me. He's 10-4. He kills it in ranked seasons. Absolutely kills it in ranked seasons, and that's why he deserves to be the #1 spot on this list. Now, boys, I understand that this video usually ends up being a little bit controversial, so let me know who you guys think should be moved up in the rankings, who should be moved down in the rankings. Obviously, this is a list, and I'm biased. I use pitchers different than you use pitchers, and you might be really good with a guy that I'm not really good with, but I think that Jacob deGrom is the best pitcher in the game just because of what he's done for me. Before we get out of this video, if you guys want to hit that like and sub button, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and it might be up.